What's up everybody, Jared here with carbuzz.com, and today I am bringing you a full walk around and deep dive of the 2023, well technically the 2024 Dodge Hornet. I'll talk a little bit about what I mean later. Now there is an embargo, a driving embargo on this car, so this video will only focus on exterior details, interior details, all of that stuff, and I will go over the engine specifications as well. What I won't talk about is how the Dodge Hornet drives. You'll have to stay tuned until March 22nd for that video. I'll post a link in the description below when that video is available. But let's go ahead and dive into the Dodge Hornet. The one that you see here is the RT trim. So there's two that are going to be available, but only the GT is going to be available at launch as a 2023 model. The GT is the gas only variant. This RT is a plug-in hybrid, and this is going to arrive later in the spring as a 2024 model. So something to consider when you're shopping for these cars. Up front, Dodge kind of says that it has an unmistakable Dodge profile, which is really hilarious because this car actually shares almost everything with the Alfa Romeo Tonale, which is also arriving later this year. Now the front end is different. You have this Dodge mail slot grille. You have the Dodge Romney here in the middle, and you have some gorgeous colors on this car. I love this blue. There's like a really cool gold. There's a red option as well. So some very fun colors that you can get on the Dodge Hornet. The base wheel is going to be a silver 17-inch wheel that I think looks completely rental car spec. It's terrible. So what you're going to want to do is upgrade. There's a black top package where you get larger 18-inch wheels, or I believe that these black 18-inch wheels are standard on the RT trim. So if you spend a little bit more money to get the RT, you'll automatically get the black wheels. There is also a track package available as well that's going to up that to a 20-inch wheel. You're also going to get a red Brembo 4-piston brake caliper up front, and you're going to get different tires. Instead of Goodyear Eagle Sport all-terrains, you're going to get Michelin Pilot Super Sport all-terrain, so a much superior tire. The other difference that you might notice on the Hornet RT versus the GT has sort of a matte plastic bumper finish around here, whereas the RT has this dark gray glossy finish. I think the painted glossy finish looks a lot better on the RT. It just makes this look like a more premium car, although not a huge fan of the 19-inch wheels. I think you would maybe want to upgrade to the 20s. You get a very cool Hornet badge on the side profile here, and you can definitely tell that this is an Alfa Romeo Tonale from the side. They couldn't change too much about this. You know, things like the side profile are always going to remain the same on badge engineered vehicles like this. We've got our charge port over on this side, so this is where you can do your level 2 charging at home, and the gas cap is on the other side on the rear as well. And then here in the back, we've got this very cool connected taillight bar. Again, we have the Dodge Romney here in the middle. This all lights up pretty cool at night. And Dodge tells me that there is a little Easter egg in this RT logo. I had to look very close to find it, but you can see there's the Fratzog. That is what's going to appear on some of their future electric muscle cars, which is quite cool as well. The other thing that I do like about the Dodge Hornet is that here in the bumper, we do have very real exhausts. Those are not fake tips. Now, in terms of cargo space, the Hornet is a rather interesting story because this vehicle is not quite a subcompact SUV. It's a little bit larger than that, but it's a little bit smaller than something like a Mazda CX-5. You get more room than a Mazda CX-30, but it's actually a little bit less room than you're going to get in a Ford Bronco Sport. So 27 cubic feet is what you're going to expect with the rear seats up. It'll fold down to about 55 cubic feet, but unfortunately, because we have the PHEV and there is a battery underneath the floor, you get about 4 cubic feet less of space. You can see that the area is a little bit narrow in size, but it is quite deep even on the PHEV model. And to lower down the seats, you are going to have to move around to the back seat here, fold them down manually, And as you can see, it is a pretty flat floor. I believe it's a little bit flatter on the regular GT model. I don't have any interior specifications in terms of leg room, but I can show you that I have plenty of room sitting behind myself. This is your first look at the red leather interior that is optional on both the GT Plus and the RT Plus. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And this is a pretty premium vehicle back here. We do have rear air, which you don't get on a lot of other mainstream vehicles. And we have a USB and a USB-C port back here, which is quite nice as well. So this definitely does not feel like a cheap place to sit in the back, and it is quite roomy as well. All right, now let's step into the front, where the GT and the RT aren't going to be too different in terms of the interior. I'll tell you where they differ. So on the GT and RT Plus, you're going to get this leather interior. These are very Alfa Romeo looking seats, which is fine by me. They look gorgeous with this striping. They have nice bolstering as well. The red option is super cool. Dodge says that is a Dodge exclusive. Alfa Romeo does not get it on the Tonale. You've got the little Dodge Rombi right here on the headrest as well, and these seats are heated and ventilated as well. You can get cloth seats on the base GT and RT, or you can get an Alcantara option with the track package, although you are going to lose the ventilated function if you get the track package. So I might just stick with this if you want what I think is the nicest interior. I love the red leather, although maybe not with the blue, but I do love the red leather. You also get power seats when you opt for the Plus models. So let's go ahead and step on in, shut the door. The stop-start button is actually down here. You can see that the steering wheel is very Alfa Romeo in its thinness and in its shape, and even in the buttons. Again, not something I'm complaining about. I absolutely love Alfa Romeo steering wheels. I think they're great. Down here, we have a slightly different button than what we're gonna see on the GT model. So here you see our e-drive modes. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get that out on the road in my other video, but that's going to allow you to switch between electric, e-save, and hybrid modes, and you're going to see a little bit of a difference between the gauges on the digital cluster there. That is a 12.3-inch digital cockpit that is standard even on the base versions of this car, which is quite nice. And you can actually cycle through the different styles of how that looks. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna put it on the map because that's kind of like the best way to see it. So you push this little button on the steering wheel, and that's gonna allow you to cycle through changing what's in the middle or what's on the right there. So if I click it one more time, now I can change what's in that little right gauge. So this is like the simplistic gauge. So you're gonna see now we have like a full map, the speedo at the top. Go ahead and push it one more time. Now we have our gauges nice and full, or we can kind of like have a halvesy gauge between the two, which I really like. You also have these big, nice paddle shifters that are mounted on the column, rather on the wheel. These are very Alfa Romeo to me. And in addition to those drive modes, we do have a sport mode button down here. On the GT, this is where your stop, start, defeat is going to be. So they did move that around a little bit differently here on the RT model. What isn't any different is the screen. That's gonna be the same on all trims, no matter which one you get. It's a 10.25-inch diagonal screen. It's a little bit narrow, like it's not very tall, but it is very wide. It does have Uconnect 5.0. Super easy to set this up how you want it. You can have different widgets and different setups here. You have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You can connect 2 phones, Amazon Alexa. It is one of the better infotainment systems, so I do like that. You have plenty of physical controls down here, which I appreciate, to change the temperature, fan speed, defrosters, all of that. I love having physical buttons. The only thing that is not a physical button are the heated and ventilated seat controls, but I'm gonna show you how easy those are to activate. You just click right here. Now you have your heated and ventilated seats and your heated steering wheel. Just one button push takes you right to that, and they're gonna go away automatically, or you can just click off of them to get off of that. So if it's not going to be a physical button, that's pretty much as good as I can ask for. We do have a wireless charger down here. I believe that is part of the Plus model. So you're not gonna get that on the base car, but it is a very deep cubby here. We've got our standard shifter right here. We have our volume controls here. It is not a knob. It's kind of one of these like roller wheels. In terms of materials, I already talked about how great these seats are, but we do have this nice sort of faux leather here on the dash. We have some pretty soft touch materials up here on the dashboard as well, and on the door cards. In terms of materials, this is far better than what you'd expect from like a Dodge Challenger or a Charger. So this is a real big step in the right direction for Dodge. I think the only thing that I find cheap in this whole cabin is this silver material here on the armrest. I think that looks and feels a little bit cheap. All right, so now that I've shown you a walk around of the Dodge Hornet and we've checked out the interior, it's time to talk about the engines. Now remember, I am not allowed to talk to you about how the Hornet drives in this video. That will come after the embargo. Be sure to check the description below for timing on that when you can learn. I will be driving both the GT, which I'm in now, and the plug-in hybrid RT in that video. So please come back to the channel for that. But let's just talk about the powertrains while I've got you. So the GT, which is the base model, is going to have a Hurricane 4 engine under the hood. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with 268 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, which Dodge says are best-in-class numbers. That is all routed to all-wheel drive, standard all-wheel drive, through a 9-speed ZF automatic transmission. 0 to 60 is going to take 6.5 seconds on the base GT model. And no matter which version you get, the GT or the RT, you're gonna have 2 suspension options. The base is going to be a Coney frequency selective damper that is a passive damper, or with the optional track package, you can get a dual stage valve suspension that is adjustable. You also get larger brakes, a 4-piston Brembo caliper up front as well. Now let's talk about the RT. Unfortunately, I won't be driving that in this video, but again, check my full driving review if you want to learn more about the RT. But the drivetrain is very different. Instead of a 2-liter engine, you're getting a 1.3-liter 4-cylinder engine, so a very small turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, but it is mated with a 90-kilowatt electric motor on the rear axle that can contribute 184 pound-feet of torque. So together they generate 288 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque, so significantly more than this GT model gets. So if you're looking for the performance option, it's actually the plug-in hybrid model. Interestingly, that model gets a 6-speed automatic transmission, not a 9-speed. It's sourced from Aisin, which is Toyota's transmission company, interestingly enough. And you're going to get a 15.5 kilowatt-hour battery that's going to net you a 30-mile electric driving range, which is kind of nice if you want to drive around on electric power alone. You're also going to get something that Dodge calls Power Shot. It's like an overboost function. It's going to get you an additional 30 horsepower for 15 seconds, and then it requires a 15-second recharge time. That's going to drop the 0 to 60 time by about 1.5 seconds to 5.6 seconds. So pretty quick there, although I haven't driven that model and I can't really talk about how that model drives in this video. Now that model is going to have more drive modes than this. This just has a simple sport mode. The RT is going to have a hybrid, electric, and an e-save mode in addition to a sport mode. So you can charge up the battery on the go, or you can drive on electric power alone. And that model is going to have a plug-in variant, obviously, so you could plug it in at home, charge it up to 7.4 kilowatts, that's a level 2, in about 2.5 hours. And then later on, Dodge is going to have a high-performance GLH model that stands for Goes Like Hell. They're bringing that back. I think the last time we saw a GLH model was on the Omni, like 2 decades ago. I don't have really any information about how much quicker or what's going to be included in that model, but stay tuned for more information on that front. So once again, everybody, if you are interested in finding out how the Dodge Hornet drives, come back to this channel on March 22nd. Put it on your calendars and you'll be able to see how both the GT and the RT drives. But for now, I will leave you with pricing. The GT is going to start at $31,590 with destination. Dodge likes to tout on all the commercials that it's under 30 grand, but not really, because you have to pay that destination fee. The GT Plus trim is going to bring you up to $35,490, and the RT is about $10,000 more than the GT, $41,590. You do not get the $7,500 tax credit on that because this is built in Italy, not in North America. But if you lease it, you should be able to get that tax credit in some capacity. Check with your dealer on that. For the RT Plus, you're going to be spending $46,590, and there are a couple of different packages you can add to that. You can add the technology package, the blacktop package, the track package. If you go wild and add all of those, you're talking about a $53,000 Dodge, which is quite a lot of money, and you'll have to wait until March 22nd to find out whether or not I think the driving experience is worth that amount of money. But until then, you can read more about the Dodge Hornet over on carbuzz.com. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. I'll see you next time.